You're listening to Short History Shorts audio, where history speaks louder than images. In the long and winding saga of ancient Egypt, few pharaohs stand taller, both literally and symbolically, than Mentuhotep II. He reigned during one of Egypt's most fractured and uncertain times, and it was he who finally stitched the broken pieces of the Nile Valley back together. His name means Mentuhotep, the god Montu is satisfied, and it's fitting. This warrior king from Thebes was not just a soldier or ruler, but a visionary who restored Egypt's unity, order, and spiritual center after more than a century of chaos during the First Intermediate Period. Mentuhotep II was the sixth ruler of the 11th dynasty and inherited the throne of Thebes, a rising southern power, in a time when Egypt was divided between warring regional lords. The north was ruled by the kings of Heracleopolis, who claimed the pharaonic title but exercised limited authority. The south, however, looked to the Theban dynasty, who increasingly styled themselves not as mere princes, but as restorers of the divine balance, Ma'at, that had been shattered. Mentuhotep II's mission was clear: to reunite Egypt by force if necessary, and restore the legitimacy of kingship that had been eroded since the fall of the Old Kingdom. He began his reign consolidating local power in Upper Egypt, strengthening his military and religious standing. He revived devotion to the Theban god Montu, a war god, and positioned himself not just as a regional leader, but as the chosen instrument of divine retribution and restoration. With patience and precision, he launched a series of campaigns northward, not in a single sweeping conquest, but in a gradual, deliberate advance over nearly 2 decades. Cities fell, rivals were eliminated. Propaganda in inscriptions and temple walls portrayed him as the bringer of peace and stability, even as his armies marched over the bones of his enemies. Around the 39th year of his reign, likely around 2055 BC, Mentuhotep II achieved what had not been seen in Egypt for over a century: the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt under one crown. This was not just a military act, it was a religious and ideological reset. He adopted the full titulary of pharaoh, wore the double crown, and declared himself the legitimate ruler of all Egypt. With this act, the First Intermediate Period ended, and the Middle Kingdom began. But Mentuhotep was not done. As reunifier, he knew he had to heal Egypt not only physically but spiritually. He initiated a cultural and architectural revival. His mortuary complex at Deir el-Bahri, nestled in the cliffs of western Thebes, is one of Egypt's most iconic structures, and a clear forerunner to the later temples of Hatshepsut. It broke with Old Kingdom traditions by integrating rock-cut architecture with freestanding elements, signaling a new direction for Egyptian art and state ideology. Mentuhotep II also reformed the bureaucracy. While he respected the autonomy of local officials to some degree, he worked to centralize authority, re-establish taxation, secure trade routes, and restore temple endowments. He sent expeditions to the Eastern Desert and Nubia, reasserting Egyptian influence in regions that had slipped away during the prior century of decline. These campaigns not only brought wealth back to the state, but reaffirmed Egypt's image as a stable, expanding power, just as in the days of the Old Kingdom. Yet his legacy wasn't merely political. Mentuhotep's reign marked a philosophical shift. The turbulence of the First Intermediate Period had left a deep scar on the Egyptian psyche. Religious texts and tomb inscriptions began to emphasize personal piety, individual morality, and the afterlife in ways not seen before. The Middle Kingdom, sparked by Mentuhotep's reunification, would become an age of great literature and ethical reflection, an introspective counterbalance to the grand bombast of pyramid-building pharaohs. Mentuhotep II ruled for over half a century. When he died, Egypt was once again whole, confident and forward-facing. His successors, including Senusret I and Amenemhat I, would go on to refine and expand his achievements, but it was Mentuhotep who laid the cornerstone. Without his vision and tenacity, there might never have been a Middle Kingdom. He is, in every sense, Egypt's great reunifier, an emblem of resilience after ruin. His name, carved into stone, echoed in the temples of Thebes and beyond for centuries after his death. And today, amid the sands of time, Mentuhotep II stands not just as a restorer of order, but as the king who proved that even a shattered civilization could rise again.